All right, let's dive into something really fascinating today. We're stepping into a kind of parable, a story about truth, about decay, and about the very strange forces that bring hidden things out into the open. Welcome to the story of the uncanny Jester and the dragon's heart.
So everything we're about to talk about really hinges on this incredible paradox from Goethe's Faust. It's this idea that something that looks purely negative, maybe even destructive, can somehow, almost accidentally, bring about a greater good. Honestly, if you get this one idea, you've got the key to the whole story.
So I want you to picture this, a kingdom that's totally wrapped up in its own ceremonies and self-congratulations. It's a place that's forgotten how to even look at itself honestly. There's a rot that's set in, but everyone's just silently agreed not to talk about it. And into that collective blindness, one unsettling figure steps forward.
And that unsettling figure, well, he's the real catalyst for our story. He's the living, breathing embodiment of that Faustinian paradox we just saw. So let's get into it. This is our first chapter, The Scheming Good, and our introduction to the uncanny Jester.
The Jester is basically negation made real. Now, what does that even mean? Well, think of it this way. He's not a force for building things up, he's a force of opposition. His whole reason for being is to contradict, to challenge, to poke holes in the kingdom's smug satisfaction. But in doing that, he serves this incredibly profound purpose.
You know, sometimes you only figure out who you are by seeing who you're not. Well, it's the same for a whole society. The Jester becomes this not-self. He's this grotesque, uncomfortable, but absolutely necessary mirror that reflects all the kingdom's rot right back at it, forcing it, maybe for the first time, to actually see itself.
And this is where it gets really intense. He isn't just some critic shouting from the cheap seats anymore. He's gone through a transformation and become an instrument of absolute judgment. He's not just showing the kingdom its wound from the outside. He is literally speaking from inside it, embodying all the pain and truth they've tried so hard to bury.
But here's the thing. The Jester isn't the only mirror in the story. As his strange work starts to reach a fever pitch, another, far older power begins to stir. And now we have what the story calls two grotesque mirrors.
So we've got these two forces of revelation, and they work in different ways. The Jester, he's the social mirror, right? He consciously goes about exposing the hypocrisy, the moral decay of the kingdom. But the dragon is something else entirely. It's the primal mirror. It's not thinking, it's an instinctual response. It represents the deep, foundational, natural truth that the kingdom has tried to just pave over and forget.
Okay, this slide might look a little academic, but stick with me, because it's actually the engine driving this whole story. The concept is pretty simple, really. For a self, whether that's a person or a whole kingdom, to truly know what it is, it has to define what it is not. And both the Jester and the dragon are this not-self. The kingdom built its identity by ignoring them, and now, to save itself, it has to finally turn and face these mirrors.
And while all this is happening on the surface, deep, deep below, in a cavern that time itself has forgotten, this verdant dragon starts to stir. And believe me, its awakening is no accident. It is a direct physical reaction to a single moment of truth that's finally spoken in a small room way, way above.
So what's the dragon's job here? Well, it's the not-self of nature itself. All that raw, earthy truth the kingdom tried to bury under its stone floors. It's also called the ember of the earth, this necessary bit of friction and discomfort that keeps the human soul from just going cold and dying out. Its awakening basically means that the raw honesty of the planet is finally standing up to speak, ending what the story calls the silence of heaven. So, what was this moment of truth? What could possibly be so powerful that it wakes up an ancient dragon? Well, it all went down in a tiny stone room, an intimate, powerful reckoning between two of the kingdom's most important people. The scene is called The Cell and the Candle Flame. Picture it, a tiny little room, just 6 by 4. Inside, there's a knight and a high priest. And in this quiet, stripped-down space, away from all the pomp and circumstance, they finally say the thing that has been left unsaid for centuries.
And this is the revelation. They realize the body isn't just some crude container for the spirit to get through life in. No, it's the spirit's main tool for interacting with the world. It is the sacred meeting place where the human and the holy are, and have always been, the exact same thing. And this story goes a step further. It defines the spirit not as some passive thing, but as the asking. It's that relentless, active, hungry part of us that insists on finding meaning, even when the world doesn't owe us any.
It's a creature of pure, relentless inquiry.
400 years. Think about that for a second. The story says that when they finally spoke that truth, it was like the final note that completes a musical chord that had been left hanging, unresolved, for 4 centuries. And that massive resonant vibration, that's what travels down through the stone and finally reaches the dragon's emerald heart.
That incredible moment of truth down in the cell creates a shockwave. And that shockwave sends our other mirror, the Jester, to his own climax. He climbs to the highest point in the entire kingdom for a final conversation that's going to reveal his true purpose.
So the Jester makes his way all the way up to the very highest spire of the cathedral. And there, he has what's called the pinnacle dialogue with the Great Star. The star is described as this cosmic being of unconditional presence, just burning in the sky long before the kingdom was even a thought, shining on the good and the bad without any judgment at all.
And this is just a brilliant piece of imagery. The star reveals the Jester's true nature to him, and it's a shocker. He learns he isn't the source of light or truth. He never was. His real purpose, his true nature, is to be the angle at which light falls. His strange, grotesque shape provides the perfect, awkward geometry needed to bounce light into the darkest corners, the shadow side places where a direct beam of truth just can't go.
And that just changes everything for him, right? His whole purpose shifts. He goes from being an instrument of judgment to being a neutral witness. His job isn't to condemn people anymore, it's just to be that angle of light, to illuminate the room so that others can finally see clearly and make their own choices.
Okay, so you've got the dragon waking up from below, the Jester completely transformed up above, and now the final act begins. The uncanny journey isn't just about one Jester anymore. It's about an entire world being shaken awake.
As the Jester starts to climb back down, he can feel it. The dragon's power, this cold, piercingly honest emerald light, is literally seeping up through the seams of the cathedral floor. The story calls it the blight of revelation, which is perfect. It's a light so honest, it almost feels like a disease to people who have lived in the dark for so long.
And that's the final turn. This whole thing started with a knight, a priest, a jester. But now it's about everyone. The familiar has been made strange. Every face is now perfectly readable. The uncanny journey has become the waking of the world itself.
Which leaves us with the story's final lingering question. It's aimed at every single soul in that kingdom, and now it's aimed at us. The Jester and the dragon, they've done their part. The room is lit. The question is, what will you do?